Detroit's former mayor Kwame Kilpatrick is just out of prison on parole. He spent 19 months behind bars for obstructing justice by lying under oath about an extramarital affair he had with his chief of staff and for a probation violation. And now he faces an even bigger legal nightmare. Federal charges of major criminal wrongdoing. Along with his father, he's charged with fraud, extortion, tax evasion, public corruption. Kwame Kilpatrick's with me now. His new book is called Surrendered, The Rise and Fall of Revelation of Kwame Kilpatrick. It's good to see you today.
Good to see you. Oh, well, good to hear you, Contessa. I don't see you.
It's got to be a weird thing to sit there and to listen to the charges outlined against you. I mean, you're charged with crimes so extensive that they're collectively known as the Kilpatrick enterprise. How does it feel to you to hear those listed out on national television?
Well, I've heard them several times. You know, it says that I have a big fight in front of me. I'm looking forward to it. Unlike the previous fight, though, where I was wrong, I admitted my wrong, I took responsibility for it, and I was guilty. This one is absolutely ridiculous, and I believe I'll be proven innocent, and I'll absolve myself from all those charges. And that is the type of thing I wrote about in the book. I think so much misunderstanding, misinformation, and sheer rage and anger has proffered so much misinformation in the city of Detroit and gave rise to this ridiculous laundry list of charges.
Well, the Detroit Free Press interviewed a San Francisco law professor who's an expert on public corruption, who said the charges against you are so wide-ranging that they suggest to a jury truly pervasive conduct, that you represent the type of defendant that has dug such a hole for himself and his credibility that it is very difficult to imagine that he could ever take the stand in his own defense or garner sympathy as a victim of potential government overreaching. And that's an expert. Yeah. Do you plan to make a deal? Well,
absolutely not. But I think even further to that, to quote the local press in Detroit about anything with me, you might as well quote
well, this is a San Francisco
Children or one of these other TV shows.
Mayor, this
no,
is
I believe it was that.
He's a San Francisco law professor.
Well, you know, one of the things in the book, if people go out and buy Surrendered, I think they get a much better picture of me, what's going on with me, than from anybody in San Francisco who you can get a one-liner from, even if they're an expert on the issues that you listed in that laundry list. I think more than anything else, people need to understand what happened in Detroit, because it's one of the great American cities in this country, and it's going through a horrible period. And because of the lack of leadership, the lack of focus, and the continuation of focus on me, it hasn't been able to bounce back. You know, it's not just economic development and city services and crime. It's also a deep spirit of hopelessness and loss of faith in our town. And, you know, Detroit moved the world in the 1960s and the 1950s, and it's been a place where people have been realized their American dream. And that's what I think is more important in the Kwame Kilpatrick story. That's the Detroit, that revolutionary spirit that I was born out of. And once people understand that, it'll speak to the charges.
You had a chance. You missed the chance to make your impact, or perhaps, I don't know, maybe let me ask you to answer this question. Do you think that Detroit would be a better place now if you had never been mayor?
I think all Detroiters feel that. I think, would it be if I'd have never been mayor? Well, Contessa, just so you know, and I'm glad you quoted some of that news article, because there's so much that you don't know. I mean, I built more houses in the city than any mayor in the history. I fixed more streets, built more parks, built more rec centers, brought more national events to the city of Detroit than any mayor in the history, more economic development than any mayor in the history of the town. We brought casinos, we brought Major League Baseball All-Star games. So Detroit took a giant step forward, Contessa, while I was mayor, and I think Detroiters would tell you that. Yeah. I believe that my mistake, my issue of lying under oath, and let me finish this, of lying under oath did set Detroit back. But what happened after that is what I talk about in my book, Surrendered, because I think people need to know